Finding a rival is one of the single most meaningful things you will ever do in your life. In the archetypal sense, a rival is a competitive relationship with another person, whether it's a random stranger at first, a lifelong friend, a sibling, a partner, or an enemy. A rival should belong to the same age group or generation as you. They are your equal, more or less. Not to say that the rival has to be on the same exact skill level, though. The two members of the rivalry acknowledge each other and share in a competitive spirit in all things that they do. Another defining characteristic of the rival is a desire to see them protected. That is, no one can defeat the rival except for you, and that any defeat at your hand doesn't ever truly vanquish them. There's an unspoken bond of tenacity, one that neither you nor the rival will ever surrender. This bond creates a field of transformative progress, and one that has no upper limit. If you're attempting a new skill, job, hobby, or project, it can quickly overwhelm you as you only compare yourself to the experts of that thing. And so this instills in you a sense of self-realized inadequacy. You say to yourself, I can never be that good, or there's already people who are way better than me. Someone at this task is much more talented than I. The rival removes that doubt and that all-encompassing, overwhelming feeling. It hones that you versus the world into the you versus your rival. With that obstacle removed, you are no longer bound by self-doubt. Rather, you become entertained by the challenge, motivated to compete with your rival. The rival is an axis mundi, an alchemical symbol that represents the connection between the cosmic heavens and the material earth. The rival is what allows you to transmute the mundane and menial into skill development, a learning experience, and fun. Even work that you and your rival are forced to do, normally with begrudging reluctance, has now taken on that spirit of competitiveness. Banter and camaraderie are two other staples of the archetypal rival. In the final evolution of the rivalry, they team up and it becomes an us versus the world, even while the competitive spirit remains and persists after. This trope exists in almost every story, and so it should be fairly familiar to everyone. Indeed, part of the reason why we enjoy TV and stories so much is because they fill that lack of that bond or those experiences in our own lives. It tracks back to the broader loss of any real rite of passage. Though in today's society, that's less so a single defining moment, as it was in ancient communities, who often had particular and unique roles that they fulfilled. In today's society, there are a variety of roles that we must fulfill and occupy, so the rite of passage looks more like a branch of passages that are continually forged throughout a lifetime. There is a neurological process behind this. The tunneling effect and imagery of the rite of passage is the formation of connections between isolated regions of the brain. We can call these rites of passage connections acquiring a new skill or erudition. It's effectively neuroplasticity, and the rival as the axis mundi allows for that opportunity in every aspect of life as the competitive spirit is pervasive in everything that they do. I was going to label this as part 6 of the consciousness map, but I didn't want to feel like that series was a prerequisite for this video. But for those that did watch it, the rival can make even the most tedious and draining tasks into a flow state. The focus, the challenge, the competitive spirit, and fun allow for a more healthy experience. It allows for you to regulate your autonomic nervous system into the balance zone state. It is because the zone states are engaged more frequently that you and your rival share in the limitless potential for skill development and erudition. There's no true care for the end result or the outcome. The only thing that matters is the in-the-moment competitiveness between you and the rival. It's no longer you versus the world or you versus your own self-doubt, but you versus your rival creates the opportunity for self-expression in everything that you do. Your personality and creativity will bleed into everything you do because you're no longer concerned about how society sees you. And then when a common threat presents itself or the life of the rival is challenged, then it becomes us versus the world. The rival is much more important than the archetypal mentor. The mentor usually is someone along the way that helps you develop those skills or erudition with perhaps more direction in order to continue to challenge your rival at higher levels. But the mentor is usually a more temporary role, though sometimes it can be lifelong as well. But the most important is the rival because that's your generation. I'll make up an example to drive the point home. Let's say you and your rival take pottery together, even though neither of you has ever done it before. At first, both of the rivals are very bad, but they're at the same level, and neither one cares that other people in the class are already experts. Again, it's between you and the rival, and no one else in the world matters. But let's say they continue to do pottery over the years, and because there's no limitations to their skill development, they have no self-doubt, they have no concern about the rest of the world. They keep exploring and experimenting with new and innovative ways in order to beat the other rival. Because they're enjoying themselves and they're competing with each other, they're engaged in these flow states that allow them to learn the skill of pottery faster and faster. And before long, without even trying, without even caring, they're as good as any other expert. And then they move on to something else, to a different skill, or maybe they continue with that for the rest of their lives. But no matter what work they have to do, or tasks they're forced to undergo, or hobbies they decide to pursue, everything builds upon each other, as if there's an unspoken and meaningless tally that they keep with each other. You make the most of every day because every day you can learn a new skill to outperform your rival. The competition and the rivalry exists even if you see each other only once a year. The proximity and frequency of meeting with your rival doesn't really matter because the spirit of competition is the rivalry itself and not in any singular task or event, but that's just where it tends to present itself. That's where the rivalry expresses itself. The rival is both a comrade you would die for and your greatest enemy. Thanks for watching.